So I was probably 15 minutes away from the track when we had to turn around. By the way, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, that absolutely blows.
We got word. I checked my phone. We stopped for we actually stopped to get cash for parking.
Oh.
Because I was like, oh, geez, we don't have cash. Let's go stop at there's an ATM in this Wawa. So we're in the Wawa, and I'm dealing with some work stuff or whatever, and I make a couple texts, and then we get back in the car, and Lauren's like, I'll drive, and I'm like, thank God she said that, by the way. Thank God she said that, because Lauren was like, I'll drive, and I was like, okay. I get in the passenger seat, I plug my phone in, I open up Twitter. The very first thing I see is a tweet from Bob Pockris about the race being moved to 9 p.m. And it is 10 in the morning, and we're right in Daytona. And there's a little miscommunication on what we were able and willing to do that day as far as watching races. But at the end of the day, the idea at the time was, okay, this isn't happening. So we drove all the way back. I'm not too cut up about the miscommunication though. Because we will probably accidentally end up jumping straight into Daytona weekend here. Sucked for me. That was awful. Every single race was just dreadful in some sort of way.
Yeah.
The ARCA and Truck Series races were absolute messes, and it was almost 6 hours of racing that I sat on the couch I'm gonna watch this. It's Daytona. I'm excited. And because it's Daytona, I sat through all 6 hours, and then obviously Saturday and Sunday was absolutely nothing. Sunday, I'll talk about that later, too, because I ran my iRacing Daytona 500. And then Monday we had all that happen. We get back. We're hanging out. Daytona 500 starts. Jimmy Johnson wrecked out within lap 10. Ryan Preece is in that wreck. Ryan Preece then gets trapped a lap down, speeding, even though he manages to get back up through the field. Ross Chastain wrecks on the final caution, and every driver that I root for got wrecked out at some point, because then when we watched the Xfinity race, Parker Kligerman got wrecked out before lap 25. So, it was a good weekend to not go to that. It was great.
I don't know how to follow that up.
Welcome to the Fake Races podcast. Hey, if you're listening, like the video, subscribe to JTN2, follow us on TikTok, Johto Network, go on Twitter, Fake Racers, JTN, all this other stuff. You will find links below.
Davey's been pulling some weight lately, man. We've strapped the cart to the back of the Davey Hazard wagon.
That's what I'm talking about. We put out a pretty good video on TikTok as well with some post-Daytona 500 thoughts, which, because of the complete... We'll
talk about it.
We'll get to that. It was a mess. It was all a mess. Everything was a mess.
I do have a question for you that I meant to ask before we started recording. Have you figured out how you're going to get your tickets back?
Who knows?
Okay. So, folks, more or less, Davey got his Daytona Xfinity tickets through the NASCAR Fan Rewards program, which we tell you again, check into your NASCAR Fan Rewards every week because you can get free tickets, and that's a good deal. But the NASCAR rain delay policy says you can't get the tickets through a secondary source and get the ticket back. It has to be you bought it directly from NASCAR. So there's some confusion there.
If I'm in Daytona in August, then I got the tickets back. If I'm not at Daytona in August, well then guess what?
I would raise hell about it, man. I would raise hell about it. Or tell them to give you the 3,000 points back on your account or something, and you can redeem them.
Honestly, I would take that. I'm not one to be a Karen like that over stuff.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
Yep.
Race got moved twice.
Yeah. No, well, and that would be the argument I would make. Like, hey, you moved it once, and then I was 5 minutes away from the track, and then you moved it to late at night. Like, who really could make that? I dropped my pen. Hold on.
Did they not? Were they not letting just anybody in for the 500? I'm assuming that wasn't, because I know there were talks that if you had a 500 ticket, you could get into the Xfinity race, but I don't think it was vice versa.
It was both. Daytona 500 ticket holders had priority. It was more of Lauren and I were under the impression that we were in a time crunch, and so if the Xfinity race went ahead, we were kind of iffy on the 500, and so when the Xfinity race was gone, the only race left was the one we were iffy about, and I was under the impression, and I also was in no mood to talk about it any further, which is my fault, that we're going home! So,
yeah,
it's great.
That stinks, but...
Yeah. Hey, like I said, It worked out in the end. I'm glad I didn't have to sit in the freezing cold and watch all of my drivers wreck.
Oh yeah, I would have burned something if I had to sit through the 500 and then watch
Jimmy
that
Johnson wrecking right in front of me if I did go to that race.
Yeah.
God.
Let's all right, well, let's just dive into the Daytona 500. Let's just start at the end because that's what we like to do, and that's probably like the most
we do things in reverse. Yeah.
We do. We always do.
So by the end of the show, we're like, what happened to the truck race? I honestly can't remember.
I wish I could forget the truck race.
I can't wait
that
to
was
talk
worse
about that.
than the one thing that we do. Yeah. Davey figured it out. William Byron won the Daytona 500. Yep. William Byron won the Daytona 500. For about an hour there, I don't think anyone believed that William Byron won the Daytona 500.
No. Yeah, let's just get started with that, right? I mean, okay, they show the deal after an hour. Here's the rub. First of all, I saw other videos too of crashes throughout the race where like the lights come on at completely arbitrary times. Like a light down the track went yellow, and then another one had just turned off from green. Like first of all, that system suddenly to me I'm realizing is like a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
But they show the angle and all that stuff an hour later through social media like avenues. And I just want like let's not do that next time. Let's communicate to Fox, or let's have Fox be competent and show that on the broadcast, or at least make a conversation about it, because they were just like, oh yeah, William Byron's a winner because and then they like quote a rule that doesn't exist in the rule book for some reason, which I didn't get.
I think Kevin Harvick said something about he got back to the white flag first.
Yeah,
and then it just spiraled downhill from there.
So this is the worst part about
give our broadcasters the rule book or something, because that's stupid. That's
not. Yeah, but Kevin
rule.
Harvick should know the rule book. Just got out of the race car.
I don't want.
And he also could have.
It feels wrong to call it journalistic malpractice, because in the end, it's like they're paying to be there, right? Like they're obviously hired by NASCAR to help put on the show a little bit, but if you are the broadcast, it is your job to explain things to the audience, okay? And when you talk about, okay, William Byron's being credited as the winner, and then you show two replays, both of which have Alex Bowman in the lead both times the only caution light in shot comes on, and then when the only other replay they show is a frame-by-frame of William Byron getting back to the start-finish line first before the caution is thrown and saying that's how he was declared the winner, it's just a mess, because none of those things agree with what you're telling us, right? And so then, like you said, we have an hour of complete confusion and, literally zero evidence of William Byron winning the Daytona 500, right? Obviously, we know in retrospect that the lights aren't synced up, which is a problem that needs to be fixed, because, like, if you're not going to be clear about what you're judging it off of, then how are we as fans supposed to believe what you're telling us when the only thing you're showing us is a complete opposite of that, and then Fox's refusal to show any other replays afterwards? It made it seem like they were trying to cover NASCAR's asses for screwing up the finish.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And I'll admit, Matt, your mic's a little crackly for some reason.
My phone's right next to it. That's why.
That is interesting. That's so interesting.
It's because he has a fancy mic.
Something about this microphone doesn't like my phone, and so if I put my phone up next to it, it gets all crackly. So
no, it's still
I don't know why.
It's still a little bit crackly though.
Okay, I'll see if I can fix something with it.
We can vamp. But that was kind of the thing that I was like, that was the thing I was confused about. I was like, why was there like a refusal to show something? Like they just absolutely neglected to show us the end of the race in like the freeze frame. They do that every broadcast, every time there's a. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I just want to, because I completely agree with you guys, but I want to play devil's advocate in this situation as someone that broadcasts. Mm-hmm. I do nothing anywhere close to what they do, by the way. I think what they're trying to do in that moment is they're trying to capture the raw emotion of the team and the driver, and it's in theory you don't want to cut away from that, right? Granted, in this situation, it probably would have been the right thing, and they also explained it wrong once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's like, you kind of, I feel like you had these two trains of thought that were battling, and something's, so Fox, a couple years ago, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't want to say they completely cleaned house, but there were a lot of changes in the Fox NASCAR behind the scenes. The way they do their productions of the at the track races, and I don't remember if this was before 2020 or after or whatever, but they did change some things around, and since then we've kind of seen the product. It's deteriorated a little bit. I still think Fox's pre-races are really good for the most part. I still think their weekly shows are decent. They still do a lot of really decent things. Outside of their post-race coverage, outside of their explaining the rules, which are very crucial to understanding the event.
Just a bit.
Wow, we were in sync. That's crazy. But yeah, so I don't know. It's frustrating, right? Because for them to come out an hour later with a picture, and it speaks to the mistrust that fans have in the sanctioning body. And we always talk about a lack of consistency, and they're never going to be consistent. But, that crash at the end, 9 times out of 10, they hit the button the moment the one car's around, and we have a green-white checkered.
Yeah.
We go to overtime, and we didn't this time. And they're like, well, we thought they were going to spin out of the way. But if you thought they were going to spin out of the way, you also thought that Ross Chastain was going to go and impale himself on the pit wall. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The finish to that race was very, very, very frustrating, especially when you watch the Xfinity race and there's a crash coming off of turn 2, and it's like Ryan Sieg's like perpendicular to the racing surface, and they're like, no caution.
Oh my God. Yeah, and the worst part about this too is it's like what I've been saying for like the last year and a half is it feels like NASCAR can't get a complete dub because the race was awesome up until that last lap, and then the finish was just an absolute farce, and it's gonna like ruin the way people remember this race. It was a fantastic 500 up until the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That race was so frustrating to me as a fan. I mean, my guy did something stupid less than 10 laps into the race. Took out Davy's guy.
Sure did.
And then he got caught up by something stupid later in the race. So
that was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
That race was just frustrating, I think. For me, it was a frustrating race. It was a very good race, but it was a frustrating race.
Yeah.
I mean, the racing was fantastic. That little run of green right before that big one that Brad Keselowski got turned into the wall for, that was unbelievable driving by all of those drivers in that pack. Ross Chastain especially, I had a lot of nice things to say about him in that TikTok video we talked about earlier. I think that's the strongest we've ever seen Ross Chastain at a plate track, and he's won at a plate track before. Like throwing. A lot of people say that last block was a bad block. I don't really think so. I mean, it was perfect. He was still on the nose, and when he wasn't clear, he let it go, and then he would get a push and then go back. I mean, that car and Ross, like everything was absolutely perfect. It's a shame that he wasn't able to get the win with some contact on that last lap incident. But that was just great racing. Great. Also, my main point, not to flounder around too much here, that's the best super speedway racing we've seen with the next gen so far, easily.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's nice to see them making strides.
Now we get to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
We already talked about that, though. What were you gonna say, Matt?
Oh, I was gonna say, because there's been a lot of like finger pointing who's to blame for that last lap incident. Some people saying Ross, some people are saying LaJoie for kind of punting Cindric out of the way into Ross. One of the things I didn't really see anybody point out is like Ross kind of had to make that move, or otherwise he was going to clobber William Byron in the middle of the tri-oval, and was probably going to junk him. So Ross was kind of put into a situation where he was like, I just got to shoot the gap, and hopefully we don't all die. So
Yeah.
But yeah, Ross was awesome. He put on a show in that last stage.
Yeah.
It's still doing it, by the way, man. I don't know what. Usually your stuff's like perfect, but I don't know what's going on. It's still doing it.
I'll keep experimenting.
We'll keep vamping. It's fine.
Okay.
But I think Ross
for
makes that move down to the bottom because because LaJoie has hit Cindric kind of out of shape. Like that bottom lane actually kind of opened up for a second. Like there was a moment there where it looked like that was going to be the move to win the race, and then Austin Cindric just slides kind of right back up off that apron a little bit, and just that little bit of contact sent them around. Also pretty lame, not to talk too much crap, also pretty lame that the 200 cars that bowled through the field and caused that big one finished 1-2. Which is pretty funny, unfortunately.
And the worst part is, like, again, part of me freaking knew when this race got moved.
Biased.
Yeah, well, yeah. Part of me knew when this race got moved to Monday, it's like, oh, Hendrick Carr's going to win this, right? Like, come on, Hendrick Carr's going to win. It's their 40th anniversary on the day. Are you kidding me? Come on. Mother Nature, what kind of tricks are you trying to play? But, yeah, I mean, the wrong Hendrick Carr won. But, that's okay. There was one of the four that I would have been okay with winning, and it finished second. But, yeah, like you said, it's I don't know if it's a shame because I forget who said it. It might have been Keselowski. It might have been Logano. It was somebody that usually is the cause of these incidents. And they said down in listen, it's my driver. I can say what I want. Said something along the lines of, it's always the guys that cause the wreck that benefit from the wreck, right?
I think Denny said that.
Or was it Denny?
Podcast too.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Maybe that's what it was because I listened to like the first 10 minutes of that today, and then I got caught up in something. But so that's kind of, I mean, that's what happened, right? Like, you got 200 cars there at the end. You know they're going to work together.
You know they're going to cause a crash because they always do.
Yep.
They do.
I know.
It wasn't Chase Elliott this time, so that's cool.
That's a good point.
But, yeah, I mean, we can talk about that big one. Brad Keselowski was on Race Hub today, and I was watching that. He talked about, Byron's there in the middle, and Logano's kind of coming down off the wall, and that kind of upsets the air around the 24 car, and that's why Byron kind of lost it, because Bowman's bump was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I hadn't seen anybody point that out, but yeah, there is a moment where maybe not even air, but it almost looks like Byron almost like kind of, not swerves, but kind of cuts to the left a little bit to not right or to left rear Logano, and Bowman just hooks him. Yeah.
My favorite part of that wreck was the rear view cam of Ross Chastain because number one, how did he not get turned? And then number two, it's just William Byron bouncing off of both of the other cars in the camera view and spinning out Brad Keselowski. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It looks like absolute chaos. I'll have to find it because it is very funny. It's got the same energy as sorry, Joe. It's got the same energy as that like Boris said like Truck Series clip where he intentionally wrecked someone at Sonoma, and there's like a rear view cam, and you can see Boris said like come from out of frame and pick the guy out of line and just drive him straight off the track. It's like same energy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that wreck. That was huge, by the way. Like, we still had 30 cars on the lead lap. Like,
I know they said it was 18 cars, and I was like, that's too few. There's at least 25.
Yeah.
That was the whole pack.
Yeah. I was so frustrated.
Joe, we do have to move. I know this wreck hurt you, but we do got to move on.
I know we got to move on. So there's
some other fun stuff in stage one.
Yeah, let's talk about Let's talk. What sets up that crash is Brad Keselowski pushing the heck out of John Hunter and Harrison Burton again getting wrecked early in the Daytona 500 by Brad Keselowski.
Yep.
So you had that.
I feel bad for H. Burt.
You gotta feel bad for H. Burt. But it sets up this weird fuel saving strategy.
I was gonna say that with that wreck before we move on to the fuel thing. Like, as soon as I heard Mike Joy yell, like, "Oh, crash!" and then they cut to Harrison Burton sliding through the grass, and I was like, of course. It's like, yeah, of course that would happen to him.
Who else? Who else but Harrison Burton?
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like then locked into this like fuel saving strategy in stage 1 where they just ran 2x2, everyone at half throttle.
You know what pissed me off more than anything? They went to Cliff Daniels' radio audio, and he's yelling at Kyle Larson, "Those guys up front can't make it, but we can. We're good." And it's like, no, Cliff. No one's making it to the end of the stage on fuel. You guys have 7 laps more of fuel than them. It's not 20. It's not 10. It's not 15. When they like Cliff Daniels is such a good crew chief, but man, that grinded my gears. I don't know why. It was like, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's doing such a good job. He's keeping his driver informed. And he's keeping him in the race." And I'm like, if I was Kyle Larson, I'd be like, "Shut the hell up, dude. I'm driving here." Like,
it's stage 1.
And you heard
Relax.
drivers complain about, "Oh man, that kind of sucked to have to like fuel save and blah 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 blah." And it's like, okay, get rid of stage brakes, but also, that wouldn't have helped. But
Who's deciding to save fuel? You guys.
exactly.
It's you.
Yeah, put
You
the
guys are doing it.
pedal down.
Yeah, it was
Hammer
so
down.
funny. It was so funny at some point when they decided not to, and 4 cars just left. They just drove away.
Remember,
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
AJ Allmendinger was driving around by himself, and he was 5 miles an hour faster a lap.
Than
It's
the
literally
entire
running down the
pack.
pack alone. I will say, I mean, that added on to the stuff we will talk about. This is objectively the funniest Speed Weeks we've ever had.
100%.
Oh yeah,
100%.
objectively. But yeah, I mean, the Daytona 500 was a good race, and then it just fell apart. But it seems like that happens every year at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Because since we're kind of moving away from it, I just want to have like some closing thoughts about it. I've seen a couple of tweets here and there, a couple of posts on social media, like, "Oh, the Daytona 500 feels flat now," and I agree with them. But no, Joe, it's not for the reasons that they list.
Okay.
It's not for the reasons that they parrot over and over again. It's the stage break. It's no storylines. I saw this tweet today. It's like, there's no storylines and there's no drama and there's stage breaks, and it's like, okay, yeah, you sound like every NASCAR fan since 2017. Shut up, you're boring. But to me, it's more the fact that we can't end one of these damn races under green almost ever.
Yeah.
It is so rare for this race to end under green anymore. We never get a call to the finish. We always get a call of a crash. And this person has been declared the winner because the button was pressed at this time for the caution. That's lame. That's why the Daytona 500 feels flat. It has nothing to do with everything else that you complain about all year anyway. It has everything to do with the fact that we, for some reason, cannot finish these races almost ever. When's the last... Austin Cindric's ended under green, right?
Yeah.
When was the last one before that?
So
2020 technically finished under green, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they threw a
so the
caution.
the stat that was going around was that 2017 was the last one that ended at the scheduled distance.
Yeah.
Right.
Under green. I know the last 3 of the last 4 have ended with we have to go to the replay to see who won. 2020 and 2018 both ended with the leader on the last lap getting turned head on into the outside wall. I don't even remember what happened at the finish of 2019. So it's been a mess for like a decade now, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Denny Hamlin won 2019 under green, right?
I think there was a crash on the last lap. I think I remember Chase Elliott wrecking, but I can't remember.
Who cares about that?
Yeah. That might have been 28. Or no, Chase. I don't know, whatever.
But yeah.
That's what's been killing it for me. It's been really disappointing to not let these guys race it out.
I mean, that'll be a
I don't
thing
know.
we're about to talk about, is literally not a single race this weekend ended under green. Every single one of them was a caution finish.
So, no, the ARCA race ended under green.
That doesn't count.
Or did it? No, they crashed. They crashed.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
I don't know if they threw a yellow, but they did crash.
They did crash.
Okay, there was a last lap crash in every single race. But
Yeah, there we go.
That's
All
what
right,
I meant
thank
to
you.
It's true.
Freaking Gusty and the Snake.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
I don't even
made
have
me
that
so
on our
mad.
show sheet, but that's freaking hilarious, man.
The worst.
But
Yeah, I'll help you. Doesn't help you.
I Listen, I'll be honest. As Friday, Saturday, I really wasn't looking forward to the race on Sunday, and then I woke up and it was all right. Well, the race is Monday, so it was like, oh man, that sucks. And then Monday came around, and I'm like, oh man, the Daytona 500's today. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I kind of felt the same way.
I wasn't
yeah.
as excited for it this year as I feel like I have been in the past, and I don't know why that is. I don't know.
I do think part of it is like everyone knew it was getting rained out.
Yeah, that was probably
safe bet.
That's probably part of it.
It's like, oh, there's not. I mean, if you came into the weekend, you're like, oh, the Daytona 500's on Sunday. You were lying to yourself. I don't think there was a single person that knows what Florida weather is like that thought that was going to happen. Like, it just wasn't. That dampened it. I honestly was the opposite. I was very excited.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have been, but I was. I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I don't know. Speedweeks, it was just weird this year, I think, with just because of the weather and stuff kind of throwing a wrench and everything. I was glad they got Xfinity qualifying in on Saturday for all those teams, because that would suck to not have qualifying for your biggest race of the year and just be told, yep, you're going home, because we've seen that in the past, and that sucks. Austin Hill won that Xfinity race late last night.
Against his best efforts, Austin Hill won.
I don't know what Jesse Love was doing in that race. He was a menace out there. Making a lot of good moves, but also a menace.
I'd say just about everybody except Austin Hill was a menace.
Yeah. Yeah, I fell asleep, if I'm being honest. I woke up, saw Austin Hill doing some burnouts in the grass, and then I turned the TV off immediately and fell back asleep. So, a lot of wrecks. It was good racing. I was more so tired than anything. It wasn't like a boredom sleep. So say that.
It was a good race. It's just it
was a lot of racing.
The theme of the Speedweeks minus the 500 apparently is just a lot of wrecks.
Yeah.
It tore up a lot of stuff.
And we get to
stuff all like the whole race.
And we get to do it again this weekend. Yay!
Yeah,
I say it every time you say we tore up a lot of stuff. So just don't say that again.
I didn't realize how much I wasn't gonna like the Atlanta thing coming afterwards. I was kind of for it.
Me too.
I was like, oh, it makes sense. It makes sense to put it afterwards. I get the reasoning. Oh man, the vibes are bad. Like
we will see when the ratings come out if it was what they thought it would do, because their whole idea is, well, the racing will be similar, so that'll boost the ratings. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
personal experience. Vibes are bad right now for me.
Yeah,
NASCAR.
The vibes are continuing to deteriorate.
Yep.
Just off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. There was the early incident where Suarez got hooked, and Haley Deegan got involved in that, and then you had a truly inexplicable plow by Kyle Weatherman at the end of that. And then that was funny because they did like a 2-minute comedy sketch for Wendy's and then cut to the Wendy's car on a rollback being towed to the garage. And it was like, well, we got to play this sometime, so I guess it's relevant now. You had a truly inexplicable spin by Justin Allgaier. That was an all-timer. Which, like, I appreciate.
So stupid.
I liked how Cole Custer was like, yeah, there's some debris, and I, like, swerved down. Maybe that's why I hit him. And I was like, nah, he was still going to hit you, Cole. Like, you did move down a lane, but Justin was still going to clobber you. Like, that was ridiculous. You had Shane Van Gisbergen painting a target on Jeb Burton's back bumper twice. That was hilarious.
That was crazy. That was the last thing I remember before I went to bed, was him crashing him into him the second time.
I also said the same thing about Jeb last time we were at Daytona, but, like, that dude can save a race car.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had the spin off of 4 where he just, like, was headed straight for the wall and barely touched it last year. Yep. And then this year, didn't hit the inside wall, got it out of the grass, got hooked by Shane on the backstretch, didn't hit the wall somehow, and just kept rolling. And I was like, what does it take to kill Jeb Burton's race car?
It doesn't.
Like,
a nuclear bomb, apparently.
It does not happen.
Then you had John Hunter Nemechek being a NASCAR terrorist, as he always is.
Yep.
And then I feel like there was one other one. Austin Hill forgot to shift out of third coming to pit road, so he was just flying down pit road at 100 by himself, and then he was like, wait a second, I'm doing something wrong. Got penalized. His next pit stop, got penalized again, and he still just drove through the field and made everybody else look like children. Like, Dude, I've never seen, like, everybody talks about, like, oh man, is like the 21's got to be cheated up, and it's like the RCR cars are good on the plate tracks, but Austin Hill's just that good at plate racing. It's kind of unbelievable.
It's kind of crazy he didn't make the Daytona 500 last year, right?
Yeah. He got
not make
wrecked
the
in his
500?
duel, didn't he?
Yeah, he got wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funnier if you just say he didn't make the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Could be.
But I mean, you gotta figure he's going to be in the Cup Series next year. I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, he's got to win more races on intermediates and stuff. But
It's gonna be crazy when Austin Dillon's his boss next year. Whew.
yeah. So let's yeah. Woof.
Has he won a race outside of a plate track?
Yes, he won Pocono. And
Vegas and
last year.
Pocono. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So
And then 3 Daytona wins and 2 Atlanta wins.
yeah.
It's just absurd.
So the Truck Series race on Friday was a cluster. Do you know what? Nick Sanchez finally got his first Truck Series win after being so close last year. Other than that, is this race even worth talking about?
I actually have. Hang on,
What
I
would
have
we talk
a.
about, really?
I have a sound effect
they
to,
just pulled a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah, I have a
That's
sound
what we're
effect to
gonna do
describe
next
the race. So yeah, it was I think for a good portion, the longest green flag run was 6 laps. It was bad.
It's just bad. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was just awful.
It was objectively hilarious, but it was awful.
Davey, there's your other TikTok video for the week. Just take some random clips and play that music over it in the truck race. Thousands of views. I'm telling you.
I also have
we got a whole
a sound
night's worth from Friday, because like the truck race, I don't want to talk about the truck race. Anyway, we all in agreement there. Nothing to talk about.
Hang on.
To talk about in the truck race.
This is the last thing I have to say about the truck race. I do have the sound clip for what was going on for Taylor Gray during that final lap when he flipped, and I think it was something like this. So
that was the thing, though, right? Raja, that was a pretty bad misjudgment. I think he admitted it, and that's fine.
Did he say he got tight, or he was trying to switch lanes?
I think he ended up saying he was trying to switch lanes, but I don't think I don't think any of his interviews that night made it very clear what was going through his mind.
Yeah,
but he said afterwards that.
Shout out to Fox for just having a camera down there, and then everyone overreacting to Bubba. That was crazy. That was great.
Overreacting to Bubba Wallace mentoring the kid who just made a mistake.
Yeah.
On like one of the biggest stages he's raced on.
And purposely trying to get away from the camera so that way he can talk freely.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's almost like guys maybe deserve the privacy, but also you're on pit lane, so maybe don't expect the privacy. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that people were making a big deal about it, because that was funny. Oh, he didn't shake his hand or whatever. He didn't dap him up. I'm like, he was talking to him.
Well,
of course he did.
They were mid-conversation.
They were mid-conversation.
There was everyone who thought they were like in a big fight.
Yeah.
What are they fighting about?
Dude, no idea. The crowd that thought that, no thoughts behind their head. It just looked like Bubba was trying to be like, hey man, no, it ain't sweet like that. You kind of messed up. Come here.
Yeah.
I forgot who I saw, and I don't know why I'm thinking it's Bubba tweeted this out, but I saw someone say that it's crazy how like the respect and stuff in like the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series has gone downhill so quickly with ever since you took Cup drivers out of it and they're not there every week.
Bubba.
Was it Bubba?
Yep.
That is such a valid point, because if you had Cup drivers down there, and if we go back to having Cup drivers winning all these truck races and Xfinity races, that's not a bad thing. It never was. Okay, so the only reason it was is because the series, the stars of the series were deteriorating very quickly, right? You lost Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte. You lost a lot of big names really quickly there, and that's why I think that was important to be like, oh no, limit the starts so you can get those guys experience. But now we're out of that. So, maybe let those guys run more truck races if they want to. Maybe they don't even want to anymore. I have a feeling some of them would, like, Corey LaJoy or, I don't know, William Byron, Kyle Larson. I think there's guys that would want to run those races that find value in it.
It's funny how we went from one extreme to the other with, like, we let them run too much and then we don't let them run enough. It's like, just go in the middle. There's a happy medium in there, and we can find it.
Yeah.
And we can get some. First of all, we can get some money back into the series. Not that there isn't any money in the series, but Cup drivers bring that. Cup drivers bring exposure to the series and eyes to the series. And guess what? That makes people want to invest into the series in other ways. It helps. Everything helps. I was never for. Go ahead, Joe.
I want them to be allowed to run for points again too.
That's a hot. We might have to. That might be a whole segment in itself some other time, because that's a take. That's a take.
It's stupid if there's like 6 of them in a race and like 6 of the top 10 don't get stage points.
I do kind of agree with
so,
that. That makes sense.
Anyways,
yeah, I think
maybe that's our next video essay.
I already got 2 in the
Maybe
can, man. I can't add a third.
The case for Cup drivers running for points in other series. I'm all about
I think as long as we don't jump the shark like we did last time, where we go from one all-star car that the Cup guys can run to we're gonna field 3 cars for all of our Cup guys, and then Drew Herring, you can run a race or 2 a year, right? Because that killed
man.
That
series
killed the pipeline to the Cup Series for like a solid 4 or 5 years.
That's what I'm advocating for. I don't want any of these little shits getting anywhere close to the Cup Series.
Dude, this is a very valid. There's some validity to this. If you're looking
at
the truck series especially.
Well, yeah, because that is a big thing too. Is when you started seeing the starts limited, you got the young guns and the youth revolution where you got Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. But like, we've almost reached a point now where a lot of veterans at that time couldn't find a job. Like Matt Kenseth got fired in a season where he almost made the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
And couldn't find a ride after that.
Yep.
Ryan Newman
Gary
couldn't
Jones.
find a ride after that.
No.
And it was like because of this youth movement coming in. Well, actually, Ryan Newman's a bad example. I don't know why I said that, but so it's like like you said, we've kind of swung completely the opposite way, where it's like Riley Herbst might be getting a Cup ride soon. It's like, let's slow down a little bit.
Harrison Burton, another good example.
Yeah. Harrison Burton's a perfect.
Wait, do you think they should have left Matt DiBenedetto in that car, Davey? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not, dude. This weekend has tried to bait me enough. I'm not falling for it. I'm not.
But there is a level of there's a level of like and again we say a lot of this in jest, right? But
some of it.
There is a level of these Cup guys and a lot of these younger Cup guys, they raced around it, but they don't know how to be on the other side of it now. And I almost feel like that's a bigger challenge than winning races on Sunday, is to be a mentor and to be a leader, right? Like when Denny Hamlin, who's the leader of the garage area right now in the Cup Series? I don't think it's Denny Hamlin, but he's the most outspoken, right? Like,
yeah, I think he most outspoken, yes, but honestly, I don't even think, like, judging from the vibe from his podcast episodes, I don't even think he considers himself the leader of the garage area anymore.
So like, you don't have a leader in the garage area. You don't have like. And we talked about this at nauseum. It's like, all these guys want to talk about the lack of respect and stuff, and it's like, look in the mirror, man. Like, change starts with you. So, I don't know. But yeah, the truck race, it's hilarious that the series director sat them down before the race, said, hey, we remembered Phoenix, don't do that again, and then they proceeded to do something that was 10 times worse.
Yep.
And don't forget, Corey Heim also got to run this race.
That is a very good point. And also, I think I saw a stat right before we went live, like this was the best rated, like the best TV ratings for that Truck Series event since 2021.
Wow, it's the best one we've had in 3 years. What?
Okay, my point was, asshole, is that a lot of people saw some dumb shit.
That's what. Yeah. Again, it's just a stupid statistic to tweet out. Okay, like, come on, Fox. I know you're trying to polish shit here, but so if it's shit, it's shit. Okay.
Did you guys see how pissed Todd Bodine was at like the halfway break?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Like they were trying to just have like a discussion, just like, let's talk about the race so far, and Todd Bodine just went off, and then he carried it on to Twitter over the rest of the weekend. Like, he is pissed looking at the Truck Series now.
I bet he is.
Oh god.
Truck Series used to be some of the best racing that we'd see on the weekend, and it's just deteriorated so much.
Late 2000s, early 2010s Truck Series racing was some of the best racing NASCAR had.
Oh,
and that's why we got into the NA18D thing, so...
True.
I mean, this race used to be the one... I was going to say, this race was the one I always looked forward to in Speedweeks the most, every year.
Yeah.
Because it was always nuts. Yeah.
Then you stayed up till 11 if you're on the East Coast. I guess that wasn't as bad for you, but, you know...
Dude, I was feeling it by the time of the start of the ARCA race, and I was like, I'm on the West Coast.
I'm on the West Coast,
and I'm tired. ARCA's starting at like 1 a.m.
I had to watch ARCA cars wreck it up 1 billion times. Had to watch Willie Mullins.
Dude, I thought he died.
Man, that was so sad because Cindric was gassing him up.
Missile.
Cindric spent the whole broadcast gassing up Big Willie, scored the pole, and then he just painted a target on the side of that car and then was like ready to go.
Destroyed it. And then he wasn't done. He went back for seconds. Oh my god.
Dude, Noah Joyce, friend of the show, was making so many hilarious jokes about just applesauce being spilled all over the interior of his car.
It wasn't even that, like the applesauce was used to like resurrect him or something.
Yeah.
We're getting to like late night ARCA like vibes right now on this show. It's too much.
But yeah,
let's talk about normal stuff again.
Gustine, you're a prick, by the way.
Yeah, that was some.
And I'm not using that in an endearing way.
We're 40 plus minutes in. That was some bitch shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was. Oh, man.
I don't care. I'm calling him out. Joseph Weaver was like, oh, you don't give up your chance to win at Daytona. No, that's not what it's about at all. He said he was going to do the thing, and then he didn't do the thing when his teammate thought he was going to do the thing.
It drove me crazy. It drove me crazy seeing people say that he's like, oh, yeah, he didn't listen to lame team orders. And it was like, he wasn't the one getting team orders. It was Jake Finch.
He agreed.
Jake Finch gave up his advantage to help Gus Dean, and then Gus Dean stabbed him in the back. Like, that was what pissed me off about it. Like, if Gus Dean just says, no, I'm not going to let him in, then Jake Finch doesn't take the outside.
Yep.
And he'd be like, fine, figure it out on the outside then. It's a fucking snake. So, it's ridiculous.
That was bad. Normal things, though. Malcolm in the Middle's going Xfinity racing.
Yeah, I mean, this past weekend, he's buying into Joey Gase Racing. It's Gase Bunez Racing.
That's cool. It is cool.
Yeah.
He bought into the team, baby.
So imagine going back 5 years and saying that Shane Van Gisbergen was going to race NASCAR against Frankie Muniz.
Malcolm.
Who's part owner of the team.
Yeah, owner-driver Frankie Muniz.
Oh my god. I'll tell you what, that was Daytona. I don't
now
know
we
where
get to do it again next weekend.
What a race.
Yay!
Don't stop.
Daytona, but smaller.
Boy, I wonder what I'm going to do for my bottom split moment. It's a shame. I wish I had more to pick from.
What's your bottom split moment, Davey?
Oh god. Let's see. Parker Kligerman getting wrecked out before lap 25. Jimmy Johnson getting wrecked out before lap 10. Me getting wrecked out Me getting wrecked out after lap 200 of my iRacing Daytona 500, being in the lead on the green-white checker. I led lap 200. I led the scheduled final lap. It was a green-white checker. Some bad pushing behind me got me turned around in the tri-oval, taking the white flag, wrecked the field, finished 13th. But
and you can watch
the VOD. I'll probably put a couple of videos up. Hopefully,
you can watch it. And you can watch the replay on his Twitch right now, D7H5.
On my Twitch right now, D7H5. Tune into those streams, man. They're a lot of fun, and I'm like 0.2 views away from being a Twitch affiliate, so hell yeah.
Damn.
That one was pretty bad. Both ARCA and truck races were bad. Being in Daytona and then seeing that it got postponed to 9 p.m., I think I'm on my 6th bottom split moment of the week, so I'll pass it on to Joe.
That's tough. My bottom split moment of the week was probably, Davey, I'm sorry, I gotta give it to you, man. Being 20 minutes away from the track and turning around.
I'm someone else's bottom split. This is a Fake Racers podcast first. This is I can't believe this.
I know, because, okay, so backstory is, when I see Davey's turning around, I'm like, oh crap, why is he turning around? Can he not get back? I'm like, all right, Davey, what is it going to take to get you back to the Daytona 500? And he's like, oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, no, we got it figured out. And whatever. But I was like, man, I felt so bad because I know I really want to go to that race. And you had an opportunity to go to that race, and you stuck to your heart and your morals and your head and didn't go to that race. So
that's true.
You know. I was proud of you, but I was like, oh man, Davey, come on. Bottom split moment of the week. Davey Hazard.
Once again, for the third time, couldn't have picked a better 500 to skip. So
and that was going to be my next thing. I literally said to my roommate after that crash on lap 6, I'm like, yeah, I was telling Davey that he should like go, but I'm glad he didn't now. So.
Me too. Matt, what you got?
My bottom split moment of the week is Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity race. They were lined up 2, 3, 4 on the last lap, and somehow didn't make a pass happen. Like,
they just don't know how to work with each other, man. They're
just absolutely fumbled it. Oh my god! Like it
motorsports moment.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you could give it to the entire Xfinity field for just letting Austin Hill clown on him again, but like,
and he's gonna do it again this weekend, guys.
Dude, he's just in a different level at Daytona. It's just like unbelievable. So yeah, that was my bottom split moment.
Yeah, he's got like 7 career wins and almost, I guess, over half of them.
He's on his advanced Michael Waltrip career arc right now.
Well, he's got 3 at Daytona and 2 at the New Atlanta, so he's got like 5 on the Super Speedway.
This is Dale Jr. circa 2002 right now.
It's unbelievable.
All right, Road to Pro moment, Matt.
My Road to Pro moment's Austin Cindric just this entire weekend because, like, A, he had a great race on Sunday or Monday. B, he was so good in the booth for ARCA. Just like, because good. You could tell, I mean, A, he showed up with glasses and a bow tie, so everybody's calling him Point Dexter, which is hilarious. And then
he rocks it, though.
Yeah.
He does.
And then by like the 1/3 mark, you could tell he was over it. And like, he got so snarky. And like, there's that one long green flag stretch. It was immediately after Annunziata spun somebody out in the tri-oval, and then somebody they had a 2-car spin that they didn't throw a yellow for, and then they had 2 laps in a row, somebody getting pushed going into turn 3, and Cindric was like, yep, add that to the list of places you don't push.
Yeah, he said something like, well, we figured out where not to push.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like fully on Big Willie Mullins bandwagon up until that went downhill really fast. So yeah, big fan of Austin Cindric this week. That was great.
Agreed.
Davey, what's your Road to Pro moment?
Man, I kind of like I said earlier, I kind of disagree with you guys. I thought the Daytona 500 felt pretty hyped up, and it was kind of like a letdown that the rain and stuff happened. But one of my favorite things in the build up to the Daytona 500 and then on the day of and like the pre-race stuff, even Sunday too, was, I don't know why I'm promoting this man's content, but I thought it was funny. Jeff Gluck in that pink suit, dude,
Yes.
he lost a bet. He lost a bet to look better.
Yep.
That dude
Oh,
was
yeah, he rocked
rocking it. Dude,
Yeah.
he looked good. I've been listening to the Teardown pretty religiously since like the last half of last season, and their dynamic is pretty funny. I like their dynamic, Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck.
Jordan Bianchi just acts like an asshole on that podcast towards Gluck.
He's such a little douchebag.
Yeah.
He's such a douche. I kind of like
Gluck's just getting bullied like for an hour and a half on this show. Like I was listening to it today, and I was like, he's bullying him. Oh my goodness, this is like high school.
Jordan Bianchi was trying to make the point that William Byron is going to be a superstar and a household name.
And then immediately had to back up on it. 'Cause he's like,
yes.
Oh, wait. No, that doesn't make sense. Because if Chase Elliott is a superstar... Chase Elliott ain't even a superstar anymore. Flush toilet.
Your old news.
My Road to Pro moment of the weekend. Shout out... First off, this isn't actually the Road to Pro, but shout out to The Rock for staying around and doing all the dignitary stuff on Monday when... I don't know if he had to or not. Maybe there was a contractual obligation, but dude was tweeting out a lot and showing a lot of respect for the sport, which is always awesome to see. And I, again, don't know how superficial that is or not, but I'm gonna.
I was a big fan of the UFL jacket with all the different team logo patches down the sleeves. That was pretty cool. I'm
gonna choose to believe that it wasn't superficial and that he was genuine. So that's what I'm gonna do. But the Road to Pro moment though is they were interviewing him on the Fox pre-race show on Sunday. That was kind of like taking up their normal pre-race that they would have had. And he was telling the story about how he got his first car and he bought it from a guy at a honky tonk in Nashville, and he got in the car and he's driving away, and there was a guy inebriated in the back seat, and Chris Myers is like freaking out trying to get them off the air, like, oh man, this story's not good. This is not TV friendly. The last line you hear is the Fox Daytona 500 pre-race coverage is going off air, is along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, guys, he wasn't a drunk, he was a crackhead. And then it goes to commercial and leads into the next block of television. The Rock saying he was a crackhead. So that was amazing. In the clip that Fox NASCAR posted, they of course clipped that part out.
Boo, boo.
1984.
Boo.
1984.
So, but I hope that isn't lost media because that was freaking hilarious. And again, I got the impression that he was completely genuine about it and stuff. So, but The Rock has some weird things about him supposedly behind the scenes. I am also a wrestling fan. We're going to Atlanta this weekend, but before that, Saturday night, Davey's going to be streaming USORL Cup Series from Talladega on his Twitch.
Is it Talladega?
Daytona, I'm sorry. Wrong one.
Daytona?
It's Daytona.
Okay, it is Daytona. I was going to say.
Do you want to know why I know?
Why? Ooh, wait. Is this to do with the... I saw this. Yeah, this is big news.
I'll be in the Project 42 entry for John Peterson Racing.
That's awesome.
On Saturday night under the lights from the Daytona International Speedway.
Tell him, Joe. Tell him.
I don't know what my sponsor is. Don't know what the car looks like yet.
Oh, that's dangerous.
I know.
From John?
Yeah, I was going to say you're playing a dangerous game.
From what I was told, Mikey's painting it, so I should be okay.
That'll be okay.
Okay. All right,
should be okay.
Yeah, that's better.
That's a close one, though.
But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I'm kind of excited. I haven't done iRacing in a long time on an oval, so, yeah, I haven't done iRacing in general in a long time. So we're aiming for a top 10. That's our goal.
Heck yeah.
Anything better than that's icing on top of the cake. And Davey, I'm sorry if I have to push one of my actual teammates instead of you, like I did in the last time we were on a super speedway race together, and I just pushed the crap out of you.
Heard.
And then you yelled at me that I wasn't pushing you hard enough, and I was like, Davey, I know what I'm doing. All
was
right.
that the race we had with JTN 1, 2, 3, 4? Or am I
Yes.
thinking of a different one? Okay.
No, that's the one. It's that one. Because, yeah, it was, Davey won, I finished second.
Weaver third,
was
and then I
third?
was fourth.
Fourth,
Yeah,
yeah.
Weaver edged me out
rocks.
right at the line. We were that close to an FRP 1-2-3, and then...
Forgot about that.
Yep.
But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So
I'm
Davey
streaming it.
will be streaming.
yeah.
I might set up stuff to stream, too. No, I just...
I'm just kidding.
I know you're just messing with me, but I was like, oh,
my
man.
God.
But we'll see, because I don't have all that set up.
Totally
So
boiling my flow.
we're at Atlanta. I don't know if you guys want to do race picks. I don't know if we want to just scuttle the race
might
picks.
as
Don't
well.
want to. We'll do it. No. I mean, Matt, you can. I'm not doing any.
Can you at least pick
I'm
a-
going to pick... For this weekend, I'm going to pick Cameron McAdoo for 250 Supercross
Okay.
and Jason Anderson for 450s.
All right, I'm going to
Yeah!
pick...
There's no Supercross this week. I had to watch ARCA. That's why I'm bad.
I am taking Brad Keselowski to win at Atlanta because, holy crap, just win a race, man. Also, shout out to Eric Jones because he was really good here last year. So maybe he'll win. Maybe I'll be happy for once after one of these Cup Super Speedway races. I don't know if I will be. Probably won't be, but I might be. Might be happy again. It's been a while. It's been since 2021 since I was happy after one of these races. So I would have
Ben
been
Rhodes, Dawson
Yeah, it feels bad,
Cram,
man.
Ben Rhodes,
Josh Williams.
Dawson Cram. Dude, if Josh Williams won the Cup race, that would be amazing.
I hope.
My
hope for if he wins the Cup race, he drives it around one lap, parks
Parks
on the
it.
start finish line, walks out the gate.
Yeah,
leave
doesn't
the
give an
track.
interview. Just dips.
Nothing. Mic drop.
It was funny too at the end of the 500.
Just
I think the top 5 at one point was Allmendinger, Hemrick, Gregson, LaJoy, and I forget who the other guy was, but it was like 5.
Up front had me sweating.
Dude, I was like, maybe Claude did know what they were doing.
Dude, when I was when Hemrick pushed Allmendinger to the lead, I was like, Davey's got to feel so conflicted right now. Like,
I did. You're right. You nailed it. Because I was like, oh, God, this is the worst.
But, guys, we appreciate you. We know this episode's late this week. Daytona 500 things and my broadcasting schedule on JTN kind of got in the way. We appreciate you listening. I encourage you at home, if you're only listening to us, go follow the YouTube page. Go subscribe over there so you can see our beautiful faces. But also, set it up so it automatically downloads new episodes to your podcast inbox, whether that be on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform that you're getting us on, because I think we're on all of them. Confidence. I'm working on it. But any way that you help support us, whether it's following us on social media, it's completely free to do that, by the way. We don't make you pay for anything because that's stupid. Why would we? But any way you can help support us, we really, really appreciate it. We see the numbers going up. We see the numbers changing. We appreciate you guys so much. We want to hear from you, too, so you can tweet at Fake Racers. That's the best way to get the attention. Or you can tweet directly at Davey Hazard because he's pretty much runs the Twitter. Or you can also, engage with the video down below. Let us know what you thought of Daytona 500, of Speedweeks in general. Tell us if we're wrong. I had a pretty hot take about Cup Series drivers in lower series. Tell me why I'm wrong. I want to hear it. I want to know because I need to be able to refute you. Come argue with us. Come disagree with us. That's what we want here on the Fake Racers podcast. Matthew's links are down below. It's at msteelman51 on Twitter. That's about it, right, Matt? I believe.
yeah, links is a strong term, more like link.
Matt's link is down below to his Twitter.
Do you want to give this moment an opportunity? Quick shout out to Chris Hacker. Get well soon.
Oh, yeah.
Was in a really bad car crash this week, and honestly, a miracle that he's even alive, and he seems like he's in good spirits. So, sending our good thoughts that way.
Davey's gonna follow that up with.
Yeah, I'm here to grift. Please follow me. Fake Racers.
Hey, he's endorsed by Celsius somehow. I don't know how, but he is. But at D7H5er on Twitch, at Davey Hazard, at D7H5. Again, everything is linked down below. Again, folks, can't thank you enough for watching, for listening, however you support us here on the Fake Racers podcast, and we hope that you tune in next week, because you should, because hopefully we return to normalcy after a hopefully not wild weekend in Atlanta. Hope to see you guys next week. Yeah, see you guys next time on the Fake Racers podcast.
Bye.